can't fall, but we ain't fall. Flame scars, we gon' raise the bar. We can't fall, but we ain't fall. Flame scars, we gon' raise the bar. We can't fall, but we ain't fall. Flame scars, we gon' raise the bar. Can't fall, but we ain't fall. Flame scars, we gon' raise the bar.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Raising the Bar with A.D. Robinson. With your host, A.D. Robinson, of course. And I got a special guest with me today. You can see she's taking up majority of the frame. But that's cool because her beauty magnified this podcast. So I got my girlfriend here with me, a.k.a. my wife, a.k.a. my babe. What's happening?
Thank you. Thank you for having me on Raising the Bar with A.D. Robinson.
Now, usually she's in the background,
yes,
correcting my grammar and giving me words. But today I'm going to bring her on so I can correct her grammar. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, she's my
Rightfully
brother.
so.
Yeah, she's a college grad, so, you know, master degree. Well, speaking of, tell me a little bit about yourself, Mrs. Robinson. Let the people know who you are.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, of course, everyone knows I am Krisanne Robinson, the wife of this awesome, brilliant individual right here, A.D. Robinson. A little bit about myself. I am, I want to say I'm American, but I was born and raised in South America, and I came to America when I was 16 years old.
Where's South America?
I'm from Guyana. I'm from this little country right at the top of South America, and it's called Guyana. Not a lot of people know it, really, but it's right next to Brazil and Venezuela and Suriname, so that's a good thing. Came here 18 years ago, so I was 16 when I came here. So you do the math. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Right now, currently, I am working in the mental health field. Okay. And I'm a data analyst, data assistant. So that's where I am right now. That's where God has planted me, so to speak. So
amen.
That's where I am.
Amen. Okay. So we've been talking about 2 weeks, and it seems like you got a lot on your mind, which is why I brought you on this show.
Yeah.
I know you're more in tune with what's going on than I am, because I'm always in the zone doing something, either this podcast or managing my brothers or working with the Muslim, whatever. I'm doing a lot, you know, and it's tiring
always.
Too. But you're more in tune with what's going on. So tell me what's on your mind, Mrs. Robinson. What exactly is on your mind that you want to share or talk about?
What do I want to talk about? Gosh, there's so many things that are happening right now that I kind of like feel like we should talk about. Okay. But my biggest thing right now, of course, we know we are going through the midst of a pandemic.
Okay.
And right now, a lot of people are mentally not where they were before the pandemic. Some people were not in the best mental space before the pandemic.
Right.
Some people are not really not doing well during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So I really kind of have been talking a lot about mental health and kind of encouraging people to be aware of their mental health, aware of where they are, how you're feeling, giving yourself that little space and grace through this, because this is something that is brand new for a lot of people. And
right.
We don't really know how to feel. We don't really know how to deal. Some people are not really in the best environment. Mm-hmm. And then they're dealing with this pandemic. And then some people are by themselves and then they're dealing with this pandemic toppled with a lot of other things. And that's why I try to tell people, stay positive. Like my shirt says, stay positive. I've been wearing a lot of these shirts lately. I have stay positive. I have hope. And I just kind of been I just want people to be aware of what's going on, how they're feeling, reaching out to others. There's a lot of depression. There's a lot of suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts, feelings, paranoia. Some people were already dealing with bipolar, schizophrenia.
Right.
Now, topped with this pandemic and not understanding or knowing what is going to happen, when it's going to end. It's kind of have brought a lot of people to a different mental space, especially if they were already in not the best of mental space, because mental health is just as serious as physical health.
Right.
And I think we don't really put a light on it to really understand it.
Right. So speaking of mental health, let's get into celebrity news.
Yeah.
You and I, we had this conversation a lot. And that was a popular topic. I think it was last week.
Mm-hmm.
So this, like, you know, we're kind of behind. Not really, but, you know. But the topic was about Kanye West. How do you feel about Kanye West?
How do I feel about Kanye West? I don't, of course, none of us know any of these celebrities, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just know what we see.
Exactly.
We know what we like. We know what we hear.
Right.
But one thing that we do know is that they are people at the end of the day still. So at the end of this all, they're still human beings and they still have feelings and they still go through things. I don't know the state of Kanye's mental health. I'm not too quite sure if he was ever diagnosed
Right.
bipolar. I think so, but don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure. Even if he was not diagnosed bipolar, just understanding where a person may be in their mental health. And it doesn't matter if they're a celebrity or they're a regular person. I see so many people making fun of his situation and who he is and poking at him and then talking about his family and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And mind you, before you continue, babe, I'm not trying to, I don't want to cut you off. I want you to be able to give your point too. I just want people to kind of understand that it's important to go and read and get the information about these different forms of mental health and what they are and how they affect people. And if he is diagnosed bipolar, people with bipolar or diagnosed bipolar or bipolar depression, I think they have really high highs and really low lows, and that's called like manic. They have manic episodes. So it's just important for us to kind of understand and be a little bit more empathetic at the moment.
Now, just off from my perspective, and that's why I created the show, because it's a space for me to share my opinion. Right. I don't like to really give my opinion unless I'm asked. But my perspective is this. I see Kanye not as a celebrity and not as a patient. I see him as a human being.
Right.
Because I hear a lot of conversations. They're saying either he's crazy or just pray for him, or, you know, me personally, regardless of whatever I do, I'm a minister first. So I care for the soul and the heart of a person.
Right.
And I truly believe that he's a human. So I don't give too much of my opinions of what I think of Kanye, because personally, I don't know Kanye. And second, Kanye lost his mom, man. Like, I think we all forget that. And I think that because we don't practice empathy in today's society, we forget what it feels like to lose somebody special, or maybe somebody out there could identify with that. But if you just sit down and put yourself in this person's shoes, like losing your mom would spark something in itself. You know, on top of that, being a celebrity and then saying all these opinions and thoughts about who you are, and not to mention, like, if you're not, I'm not saying that he's not strong-minded, but dealing with that, like, think about us. Like, we get mad when one or two people say something bad about us, but here it is, you have millions of people talking about him, and he have access to these, you know, these sources because it's online and blogs and magazines and things of that nature. So he have all this coming at him, and you know, it's just unfortunate, man, because we don't have compassion these days. And I just think that if we was to practice compassion and just really understand what love really is, and loving each other and loving your neighbors, then we will be a more healthy community. We'll be a much healthier nation. So that's just my perspective on that. I just really wanted to say that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. You know how I am when it comes to people laughing at other people's pain, so to speak. Not really a fan of that at all. I even, I watch, I follow a lot of storylines and pay attention to a lot of celebrity news and things of that nature, because I listen to like the Breakfast Club, and I watch it, what's going on entertainment, in the entertainment aspect, because those kind of things I like. And people used to tell me a long time ago, sidebar, that I should have got into like entertainment.
You probably should.
Journalism reporting.
LAD Entertainment is hired.
Hey, listen, I'm big on also being like a publicist for people's image, because I think that's so important to what people put out for their, career and what the public has access to.
Right.
But that's a sidebar. I saw something where at one point he was checking into treatment, and I saw pictures of that. And while I don't really know, we don't know, like I said, we don't always know all the backstories. A lot of people say Kanye is an attention seeker. He's this, he's that. At the end of the day, he's still a human being. We still don't want to disregard that. No matter what he is, if he's attention seeker, he's whatever they want to call him. He's still a person. And I saw pictures of when he was checking into treatment. And for me, that bothered me, because I work at a treatment center. And when you're checking into any form of treatment, it should be handled with the utmost privacy and care.
Oh, yeah, man.
Nobody should know. Nobody should be taking pictures. Nobody should be publicizing that kind of information at all, especially when it comes when it comes to your mental health and your medical or any kind of physical health. I feel like that should be considered private and personal information, because there are HIPAA laws I know for sure there are HIPAA laws for medical information.
Right.
And we practice HIPAA laws at the treatment center I work at for the patient. It's private health information. Certain things should not be known. Certain things should not be out there. Certain things should not be made aware to the public. So
right.
I think sometimes too, a lot of it has to do with the people that are around you. While also Kanye he's older. Nobody can make him do anything. Nobody can make him go to treatment, anything of that nature. But society has gotten so caught up in, let me get this picture. Let me reveal this. Let me show this, without taking a step back and saying, is this really necessary and needs to be revealed?
It's probably, I think it's probably his way of just getting a breath of fresh air. He's trying to put hey, listen, I'm about to do this and get off my back, But he is Kanye, and he got millions of people watching him. So, that's another thing. If he was a regular person, then
everybody thinks that a lot of it is staged. Whether it is staged or not, I don't play when it comes to something as serious as a person's mental health, any kind of health.
Let me ask you a question though. So we're talking about mental health, we're talking about Kanye, but what about the ones who aren't as fortunate, like the ones who don't have access to resources? Because, I come from the other end. You work in a treatment facility, but I come from the other end, dealing with individuals who had some type of instability or mental health issues. And majority of the people, my clients I dealt with, lack resources. They didn't have the resources. And although we do have governmental programs and all different types of funding, honestly, there's so many people crowding the system that the government really, or these agencies really can't keep up. So the people who don't have access to resources, that's a problem. How do you think we should deal with that? Like, I mean, just your opinion, your perspective. Don't have to be facts, you know.
Well, and honestly speaking, I'm gonna try to answer this as best as I know how, because I've only really been in this field, in depth in this field in terms of treatment for the last 8 months. With where I work at, a lot of treatment. Let me say this real quickly. The population that gets the treatment that is given, and to me, it's A1 and it's top of the line treatment. The people who get those treatments are people that can afford it.
Right.
And it's a lot of people that don't necessarily look like you and I. They look like, other races that can afford that kind of treatment.
Right.
Unfortunately, to get the best kind of care, they state that you have to have money, because a lot of these, when it's free, I guess, resources that are provided for this, it's not given, it's limited, and it's not given that quality care as like when the money's coming out of your pocket, or if you have really good insurance.
Right.
And because I work in numbers and I work in outcomes and things of that nature, I noticed at my company, they've been talking a lot about what we are measuring, the numbers, the census, the population that we're looking at, because we want to make it diverse. Because we know a lot of us, they notice a lot of us don't come to treatment or are not enrolling in the program. And the reason why is because we really don't, some of us can't afford it.
Right. True.
We would benefit from it, but the average person really can't afford that kind of treatment. It's very high level. It's very intense. Right. It's very, they take great care of the patients. I just feel like there should be more resources, but if it's resources that's coming from the government, it may be limited. Yeah. Funding, anything government funded sometimes can end up being limited.
I think that was the problem when I dealt in that field, because the funds and the resources were limited. The manpower were limited because, I mean, just point blank, case managers weren't making that much, you know. And then the problems that you have to deal with, man, I'm telling you, like it's unfortunate. So I think that we need to really pay close attention to this area here, that we need to look at the people who can't really afford these types of rehabilitations and treatments and things of that nature. Because point blank, I dealt with a gentleman, I'm not gonna say his name, but I dealt with a gentleman. He didn't look like me. He was white, and he was diagnosed with, I don't know if it was schizophrenia. I know he was bipolar and depression. I think he dealt with anxiety as well. He attempted suicide. And, unfortunately, his last time attempting suicide was his last time. He committed suicide in November. And I've been dealing with him. I actually met him through the church, and I've been dealing with him not only through the church, but on the other end of where, the program that I used to work with. I've been dealing with him in that segment as well. And to see like his case managers being like overwhelmed and him not able to get the treatment he required. And then he was in a jacked up situation too. So it's like, it's crazy, man. Like how we need to, I think, focus on just providing these type of resources. Even if we have people who have money that they can donate to these nonprofits that would help low income individuals to get these resources. So, yeah.
I know that sometimes we have donations given to the organization, and that's how sometimes some people are able to afford to go to treatment, because when you come in there and sometimes treatment is a month long. Well, sometimes it's more than a month long. The least is 60 days to 90 days. And if some people don't have that money to pay for that, there's programs there that they do. They have like financial aid funding. Like if the insurance that you have is only allows you to be in treatment for a certain amount of time, you may be able to qualify for some insurance funding.
Okay.
I think a lot of people, and I'm talking about regular civilians, there are regular everyday people that would love to get treatment. They just feel like people probably don't take them seriously as well.
Right.
And I want to say, for me, for my family, and I'm going to be very transparent, mental health has definitely impacted my family, and it was not in the best way. And I'm going to go out on a limb and talk about it a little bit here. I know this topic is a little bit heavy tonight or whatever, but it's something that we have to deal with because for so long, people have shunned the idea of mental health. When we were growing up, we would say, oh, these crazies or that crazy person or whatever.
Stay away from them.
Yeah, we would say stay away from them, not knowing that they may actually have benefited from some kind of treatment if we hadn't stayed away from them.
True.
For years, people have always said, oh, they're crazy. They're this, they're that. Mental wise, don't play with them. And I agree. I don't play with people with mental health because it's a serious topic. Like I was going to say and proceeding to say how it affected my family. I've never known anyone in my family to have dealt with mental health issues in depth. And I'm sure we all have some level of mental health that we deal with.
I know I do.
We all do.
Yeah.
It's just that some people are diagnosed with certain specifics of mental health, whether it's bipolar, whether it's depression, whether it's schizophrenia, whether it's anxiety, Anyway, within my family, my aunt years ago had gotten married to this guy, and mind you, I don't think anybody knew that he was dealing with some form of mental health. I think, and when I found out about this, about his mental health and things like that, was years after she got murdered by him, actually. She got murdered by him in 2013. And things were happening before she got murdered by him.
Oh.
But it was just it was a nightmare because he was mentally unstable. I think he was actually diagnosed bipolar schizophrenia.
Right.
That's what it was. And yeah, that was where it really opened my eyes that people are not talking about it. We're not looking at it. We're not paying attention to it. I think for the last 10 years, they've started to kind of make it a bigger deal.
Right.
But the stigma that was on it for so long.
Yeah, they're bringing more awareness to it.
Yes, they're bringing more awareness
which is
to
good.
it.
And I think it's a lot of areas that we need to bring awareness to it. But I'm glad this is a particular area that, we are diving into and people are more open to learning about, because there's a lot of people out here that need help and not judgment, so definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's a very touchy topic. That's why I've always been that person that I will laugh. I'll make stuff funny, try to keep people in good spirits and things of that nature, because you never know. The spirit of even suicide, there's a lot of suicide ideation, and suicide is very real.
Right.
A lot of people are depressed and they are battling that spirit of suicide.
True.
And we have to tap into people and be very aware of them. Don't think that just because, we see them on Facebook or we see them on Instagram or we see them on Twitter that, they're doing good.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean the person is doing good just because you see them on these social media platforms.
Right.
We were having this conversation yesterday with me and one of my line sisters. Like, people think people are good just by what they see them post on social media.
Yeah.
We've gotten away from calling or reaching out to people.
And I think and this is just my opinion. I don't have no statistics, no facts, no nothing, but I think that the more we shy away from physical or real connection, I think the closer we get to mental health. Because I think, like, us being human, we need to have that type of human connections with one another and have somebody, to talk to and not be judged and to touch, we just need that as people, So I think that, but what happened is they, we got a lot of, Instagram and Twitter, TikTok. We got all this now, and, we are now aiming for likes and not hugs, and aiming for, viral and not, vision. It's just, like stuff that. Like that. So I just think that, we need to, I'm not saying nothing wrong with social media, because this will be out on YouTube, by the way. So y'all check it out. Yes. But what I'm saying is that we need to have a conglomerate of everything, right. Reach out to your brother. Now, I could do better with this myself, because I'm super introverted. If y'all didn't know, I'm introverted, man. Like, I can be closed off at home, like, for a week. But the thing is, if I spend too much time in my head, it would probably get me, it give me anxiety. So I have to get out and talk to people. And
I'm the total opposite. Like, I don't spend a lot of time in my head. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll go deep or I'll think, but I don't peel back 50 layers and keep going and going.
I think a lot of people do that, man. They isolate themselves in their own thoughts. Like, once I feel like I'm beginning to have some type of anxiety or just feel anxiousness, I just either go outside or, try to meet up with somebody or something, to get outside of my own head. Right. To be present. So, yeah.
Right. Especially now like I said, we're going back to the midst of the environmental climate that we're in. It's only so much of being inside and being in the house that we can do. That's why you have to find things to keep your mind off of everything that's going on. Another thing too, because we do something called clinical supervision every Thursday, where we get on, right now, of course, everybody's Zoom. So at work, we get on every Thursday, and different primary counselors would give information about, maybe their patients, or we'd have the chief medical officer. He would give us a breakdown on, different forms of mental health and things that are happening right now. Of course, we talk about COVID-19. However, just like mental health and mental wellness is important, metabolic wellness is important too. So you want to kind of get to moving, doing something.
Right.
Like, I'm a big advocate for exercising and things of that nature, being active, like finding things that you like. Like, people are finding new ways to kind of social distance, but still be in a form of moving and exercising and doing things that will keep them active and happy and take their mind off of the climate at the moment.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned another thing too that can probably add to anxiety or depression with COVID-19. I think the thought of COVID-19 can cause people to be anxious or fear, because let me tell you, man, when we went on that trip to Myrtle Beach, I think for one whole day I was tripping. Like, I thought, I felt like I was heavy breathing, and come to find out I was probably just full from eating too much. So, just the thought of COVID-19 can cause people to have like some type of anxiety and all that too. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that for sure. We got to understand that this is something new for a lot of people. There are a lot of people that like being out, like being on the go. Like me, I like to be able to go and move and leave and come as I please. Now, when you're starting to tell me that, oh, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, you can't go and come as you please, you have to be very mindful, you have to wipe this down, you have to make sure you put on this hand. It's a lot to remember. Mind you, I have gotten used to it. At this point now, we have to kind of adjust because that's the new normal.
Yeah, it became somewhat normal now.
Yeah, it has definitely become a part of the norm.
Right.
Now, we don't know how much longer this will be up, but for now, we have to do what we have to do. And we have to fall in line and follow suit.
Right.
So that we could get this under control and probably go back to some level of where we were before 2020. Because, Lord, 2020 has become...
Man.
It's like...
It's crazy, man.
I didn't see this.
I'm telling you, the Lord is really testing me, man. And, you know, throughout 2020, like, if anything, he's testing me throughout 2020. There's so much going on and dealing with yourself and your own thoughts. And yeah, it's really a test. So.
Yeah, it is definitely our... it's a time that you kind of have to take a step back, look at things, see where you are, evaluate where you are, how you feel. It's okay to not always feel okay. So don't let people tell you, oh, you got to feel okay all the time.
Right. Yep.
You know, it's okay to not feel okay. Yep. But being aware of the fact that you're not feeling okay, but what are you going to do about not feeling okay?
Right.
Are you going to stay there? It's not about, you know, forgetting that you're not okay or acting like you have to be this positive person 24/7.
Right.
But it's okay to have a moment and have a meltdown, but as long as you don't stay in those moments and meltdown forever and let them overtake you. That's just my opinion about things. That's how I kind of shake things off and, you know, live and keep it going because we got to keep on moving. We're already in August.
Right.
This pandemic has been around. Well, we rarely went into lockdown. St. Patrick's Day weekend?
We missed our whole spring.
Yeah, so we pretty much...
One whole spring.
We pretty much missed spring. And summer is kind of like here, but you're limited. You have to be very mindful of what you're doing and how you're doing things and how you're moving.
Right.
You can still have fun. You can still have a good time, but just be mindful of everything that you are doing. COVID has tied into mental health in a lot of ways.
Right, right.
So that's why we brought, you know, COVID-19 and talking about the environmental climate at the moment and put it in with mental health right now because they all kind of tie in. People are not in the best mental state currently because COVID has kind of dropped a monkey wrench in a lot of plans. A lot of people had to cancel vacations. A lot of people had to separate from their families.
Right.
And all of that. So,
okay.
And it's not normal. But that's where we are. We wanted to touch a little bit on that.
Okay.
Encourage people.
So now we reached our 32 minutes. You know, I'm trying to keep it 30 minutes, you know, because our attention span these days. So Miss Krisanne Robinson, you want to say anything to the people before, you know, we leave?
Well, before we leave, I just want to kind of like wrap up exactly what I talked about a little bit about being very, very aware of where you are mentally at the moment. If you are feeling some kind of way, find the right people to talk to, people who could give you that support, people that you could reach out to. And don't feel any kind of way or feel ashamed that you have to reach out to someone. And if you think that the people that you want to reach out to or you thought that you could reach out to are not reciprocating certain things that you're feeling or understanding you, reach out to me or reach out to my husband. Honestly, nobody will know. Nobody will ever know that we ever spoke about anything. And if I don't have the resources, I'll point you in the place of finding these resources.
Right.
Like, seriously, there are tons of resources. There's tons of things that you can do to kind of get your mind off of where you are. Some people are going through financial stresses. I understand how that can be. Some people are going through family stresses, different things of that nature. It's okay. We're going to be all right. We're in this together and we're going to get through this. And I just want you to know that you are going to get through this.
Amen. And so where can the people follow you?
The people could follow me on Instagram at All Things Fly Miss KT. That's all THNGZ Fly Miss KT. And I'm on Instagram right now.
That's it? You on Instagram?
Yeah. Well, I'm on Facebook at Krisanne Robinson. That's my name. I'm big on speaking life. I feel like we need to speak life to each other.
Right.
And that's my thing, speak life.
All right. And of course, you can follow me, your boy A.D. Robinson. You can follow me at setting_DA_tone. That's setting_D as in David, A_TONE. And guess what? This concludes Raising the Bar with A.D. Robinson, where we inform, inspire, and integrate inspiring young leaders. You guys take it easy.
Bye.
We came far, but we ain't far. Playing scars, we gon' raise the bar. We came far, but we ain't far. Playing scars, we gon' raise the bar. Came far, but we ain't far. Playing scars, we gon' raise the bar.